The pyramids of Giza and the Sphinx. Facts about the ancient Egyptian monuments. These are ancient Egyptian monuments, and they're still a source of speculation and debate. Constructed in the 26th, 27th, 25th centuries BC, the Egyptian pyramids of Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, built in that order, are a testament to the ancient planning and engineering. The precise years that they were built is somewhat unclear, as those dates depend on when exactly the pharaohs who built them reigned, which is a subject of debate among scholars. For instance, Metropolitan Museum of Art dates the reign of Khufu as being 2551-2528 BC, Khafre as being 2520 to 2449 BC, and Menkaure as being 2490 to 2472 BC. But different sources and scholars have different estimates for when each pharaoh reigned. So how these pyramids were built is also a source of speculation and debate. Many researchers believe that a ramp system of some sort was used to move the blocks into place during construction when the pyramids were completed. They were encased entirely or partly in white limestone, most of which is lost today. Research suggests that when the blocks were being moved across the desert, a small amount of water was put on the sand in front of them, making them easier to move. Now, we know what happens when you put water in the sand. It quickly trickles below the sand. So what happens when you don't have a way to easily move these blocks across the desert? In 2018, researchers found 4,500-year-old contraption in a quarry in eastern desert that may have been used to help them move blocks up a ramp. The contraption was a central ramp flanked by staircases that have numerous posts and holes on them. A similar contraption could have been used at Giza, researchers said. Additionally, archaeologists have found evidence that Giza had a bustling port, allowing goods to be shipped to the site from across ancient Egypt and the eastern Mediterranean. Goods brought in including limestone from Tura, which is a town in Egypt, and cedar wood from Lebanon, researchers found out. Despite the differences among the three pyramids, Khufu's pyramid, or the Great Pyramid, is several times the mass of Menkaure's pyramid. The southeast tips of each pyramid aligned together almost precisely. Each pyramid had a mortuary and valley temple with a causeway connecting them. They also had similar pyramids referred to as satellites or Queen's pyramids. The Sphinx, an enigmatic monument usually associated with King Khafre, stands watch near his valley temple. To the south of the Sphinx is the Wall of the Crows, which is 656 feet or 200 meters long and 32 feet or 10 meters thick. South of the wall is a settlement that the archaeologists sometimes refer to as the Lost City. The city has barracks that may have housed troops, and it's been reported previously archaeologists have discovered a mansion in the city that would have been used by senior officials. The pyramid workers may have lived in simpler housing located by the pyramids themselves. Research also has revealed evidence for a massive catering operation that kept people at Giza fed. Vast cemeteries have also been found beside the Giza pyramids that were in use for thousands of years, long after construction of the pyramids came to an end. Some of the tombs were used for royal family members and senior officials. In 2018, archaeologists reported finding the 4,300-year-old tomb of a female official. The tomb had wall paintings depicting hunting and fishing scenes, musical and dancing performances, and a pair of monkeys, one of which is dancing in front of an orchestra. Now, when it was completed by Khufu, the Great Pyramid rose about 481 feet, that's 146 meters high. Today, with the loss of some of the stone, the pyramid is slightly shorter, measuring 455 feet, or 138 meters. It was the tallest building in the world until 1311 AD, when the Lincoln Cathedral's central tower was completed in England. The Great Pyramid is slightly lopsided, with the western side being slightly longer than the eastern side. In 2016, it was calculated by engineer Glenn Dash and Egyptologist Mark Lerner revealing that the eastern side was originally between 755.561 and 755.817 feet, while the western side was 755.833. Now, to the southeast of the Great Pyramid are three smaller pyramids. Two of them are dedicated to Queen Henutsen and Queen Merititis, who were Khufu's wives, while another small pyramid was dedicated to Queen Hatteferes, who was Khufu's mom, who, this is what Peter Lakarova, the director of ancient Egyptian archaeology, wrote, and Heritage Fund in the book The Pyramids, the Sphinx Tombs and Temples of Giza, published by Bunker Hill 2004. Several boat pits have been found at Khufu's pyramid, two on the south side, two on the east side, two in between the Queen's pyramids, and one located beside the Mortuary Temple and Causeway. The best preserved boat, carefully reassembled from more than 1,200 pieces, is 142 feet long, or 43 meters, with wooden planks and oars. The purpose of these boats is a mystery. Khufu's pyramid held three chambers. A grand gallery leads up to the king's chamber, a red granite room that contains the now empty royal sarcophagus. The king's chamber was protected by primitive machine that dropped giant blocks in front of the chamber to protect it from grave robbers. Ultimately, at some point in antiquity, people managed to get into the chamber and rob it. In the center of the pyramid is a so-called queen's chamber, although it probably never held a queen. Beneath the pyramid is a subterranean chamber. Its purpose, like the queen's chamber, is a mystery. Both the king's chamber and the queen's chamber each contain two air shafts. Although they may not have been used as such, the shafts of the king's chamber now leads outside, while the two from the queen's chamber stop after a distance. Robot exploration of the shafts reveal that they lead to doors with copper handles and hieroglyphs. In 2013, archaeologist Zahi Hawass, the former Egyptian Minister of State for Antiquities, said that he believes these shafts led to Khufu's real burial chamber. He said there's no pyramid of the 123 pyramids in Egypt that have these types of doors and with copper handles, he said. Really, I believe they're hiding something. In 2017, scientists scanned the pyramid using muons. They're high-energy particles that constantly rain down on Earth. Muons act differently when interacting with different materials, such as stone versus air. So with this analysis, the researchers found evidence of a void above the Grand Gallery that's roughly 98 feet or 30 meters long and 20 feet or 6 meters in height. It could contain one or more chambers. They found a second, much smaller void between the north face of the Great Pyramid, beyond the north face of the Great Pyramid. They detected the voids by analyzing muons again. A new mission using more powerful muon detectors has been approved, and it may reveal more about what the void contains. The construction of Khufu's pyramid complex was a massive undertaking. Archaeologist Mark Lerner, who excavated at Giza, estimates that, assuming Khufu reigned for about 30 years, an estimated 251 cubic yards, or 230 cubic meters of stone per day, had to be put down. That's a rate of one average-sized block every 2 or 3 minutes in a 10-hour day. He writes in his book, The Complete Pyramids Solved the Ancient Mystery, by Thames and Hudson, 2008, adding that estimates for the average size of these pyramid stones are as high as 2.5 tons for each stone. So they're very, very heavy. Scholars are learning more about the workers who built the pyramid. Contrary to popular belief, scholars are confident that the workers who built the pyramids were not slaves. In 2013, an important find was made when the remains of a logbook documenting a group, sometimes translated as a gang of workers, led by a man referred to as a mirror, M-E-R-E-R, was uncovered from the Red Sea site of Wadi al-Jarf. The logbook mentions that the workers helped transport limestone from Tura to the Great Pyramid. The limestone would have been used in the outer casing of the pyramid. The logbook mentions that this gang worked all over Egypt throughout much of the year. Scientists continue to analyze and decipher the logbook, and future work may reveal more about this group of workers who helped to build the Great Pyramid. Now, the Great Pyramid, Khufu's successor, Dedefre, built his pyramid off-site at Abu Roash. The person who succeeded Jejefre Khafre returned to Giza and built a pyramid that today stands 446 feet or 136 meters in height, making it somewhat smaller than Khufu's. It was, however, built on a slightly higher elevation, making it look taller than that. Khafre's pyramid, the Great Pyramid, would have looked different than Khufu's, as the outer casing was different, whereas the casing on Khufu's pyramid was made of limestone. The casing on the lower levels of Khafre's pyramid was made of red granite, while the upper part was made of limestone, wrote Miroslav Werner, the former director of the Czech Institute of Egyptology, in his book The Pyramids, The Archaeology and History of Egypt's Iconic Monuments, New and Updated Edition 2021. Only one satellite pyramid sits outside Khafre's pyramid, and inside the pyramid's architecture is simpler than Khufu's. It has two entranceways, both on the north side, one located 38 feet above the base of the pyramid, the other at ground level. The relatively simple plan of the whole substructure allows us to conclude that the builders of Khafre's pyramid may have tried to avoid the complications that were encountered in constructing the technically difficult, time-consuming, and costly system of passageways, barriers, and chambers in Khufu's pyramid, Werner wrote in his book. Both entrances lead to passageways that ultimately lead to a burial chamber. That chamber contains a red granite sarcophagus that is empty, with no traces of the mummy or burial equipment found, Werner wrote. They may have been robbed in antiquity. His valley temple contains a slightly larger-than-life statue of Khafre shown sitting on his throne, wrote Jeffrey Newman, doctoral candidate at Egyptology at UCLA. Made of a type of volcanic rock called anorthosite gneiss, the statue is one of the most important and iconic surviving sculptures from ancient Egypt. Newman wrote, noting that the sides of the throne contain hieroglyphs that represent the king's duty to literally bind the constituent part of Egypt together under one authority. The statue is now in the Grand Egyptian Museum. Now, with a height of 215 feet, 65 meters, and a base of 335 feet, or 102 by 105 meters, Menkare's is by far the smallest of the three pyramids. Lerner notes that its building mass is about 1/10 that of Khufu's pyramid. Its complex includes three satellite pyramids on its south side. The entranceway from Menkare's pyramid, located just above ground level, its passages leading to an antechamber and burial chamber. An ornate sarcophagus was found in the 19th century by Howard Vees, but it was lost when the ship that was taking it to England sank. It's a mystery as to why Menkare's pyramid is so much smaller than the other two. It could simply be that there was not room at Giza for another large pyramid, or perhaps events during Menkare's reign prevented him from building another large structure. No future pharaoh would have built a pyramid as large as those built by Khufu and Khafre. Now, all three of Giza's pyramids had mortuary temples connected to valley temples through a causeway, but in the case of Khafre's pyramid, his temple valley also has an enigmatic monument nearby known as the Sphinx, with an uncompleted temple dedicated to it. The Sphinx is 241 feet or 74 meters long. The monument carved out of limestone bedrock of the Giza plateau. It has a face of a man, the body of a lion. The mythical creature is seen in art throughout the ancient Middle East as well as in India and Greece. And during the spring equinox, the sun sets on the shoulder of the Sphinx. The word Sphinx in Greek means strangler, svigo. It constricts you, writes Carolina Lopez Ruiz, a classical professor of the Ohio State University, in her essay. The face of the giant statue at Giza may have been based on that of Khafre, and efforts to conserve and restore the Sphinx go back at least 3,400 years. The simplest explanation for the use of the pyramids is that they were places of burial for the respective kings. The discovery of the sarcophagus in all three pyramids backs up this idea. The pyramid complexes and the grave goods once located inside them helped the king ascend to the afterlife. The pyramid was supposed to be the death residence of the pharaoh, unshakable, indestructible, eternal, Werner wrote in his book. He noted that the temple buildings nearby were dedicated to the worship of the deceased, which was also supposed to go on forever. Interestingly, the spiritual importance of Giza appears to cross the ages. In late 2010, archaeologists announced the discovery of the remains of about 400 malnourished people buried with few goods, located near the Wall of the Crow. They date them to 2,700 and 2,000 years ago, 2 millennia after the pyramids were built. Their burial location suggests that they had a desire to be near Giza. Today, while people may not worship the pharaohs, the Giza pyramids are a UNESCO World Heritage Site visited by people from all over the world. This is an article from Live Science by Owen Jarvis, dated May 6, 2022 on Live Science. But, he claims that they were burial chambers. We know that the Great Pyramid has never been found to have such a human burial inside it. There are still mysteries concerning when these Giza monuments were built. We see that the Sphinx here has water erosion, claiming that it could have been underwater for thousands of years when the area of northern Africa was more tropical than it is today, which is desert. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.